Well, while I'm here, if I could get any comment from you about the road trip, you know, as far as I'm concerned, between what's me and you about that road trip's past me, and it's all I'm all cool and stuff. But
yeah,
really, just let me, you know, spill it out. Let me know how you felt, because Zany Duke, you know, I got him telling me how he felt about shit, and you know, I haven't really heard your side of the story to the extent that he has. So
I don't know. I was pissed off at you from the get go. So.
Well, really, I don't want to focus so much on how we was pissed. I just want your account on what happened along the way. You know,
I really couldn't even begin to remember, Detweiler.
Well, here, let me jog your memory. First off, we broke a pulley. Tell me a little bit about that.
That sucked. Wasn't too bad, though.
Well, anyway, we broke down, and, like, I fucking saw, I looked behind me, saw the pulley bouncing off the road. I'd walked back, like, a quarter mile trying to find it, figure out what the fuck it was.
Yeah.
And then I looked and seen it, like, damn, this pulley straight broke off. I said, we're gonna have to get that bull, like, extracted out of there and shit. Well, anyway, you know, we're all fucking around with it, and you guys started hiking up the road. And I stood around with the car, went across the street to the farm trying to get a phone call and shit, until finally, you know, somebody stopped to help, and I asked for a ride back to Butler, but...
Yeah. Dumbass didn't stay with the car like we told you to.
Yeah, well, I had to run back to Butler to grab the pulley.
Well, no, that was before that, when you took off and was fucking riding that bike and shit.
Oh, yeah? That's true.
When the damn sheriff, when we come back, he already had it hooked up to the tow truck.
Well, I bet your ass if I was there with the car and the sheriff showed up, he would have said I was driving and hauled me off with my suspended license and shit. Yeah, we noticed when we first stopped, like, whoa, this is that road. We partied down this road and went ball hunting in that field down here. So you and Zany Duke started walking down that way because you knew these guys.
Yeah.
Now, Zany Duke told me that I guess you'd stopped at the first house and nobody was there and you guys kept walking or something. Tell me about the walk from the car from when we separated.
All I remember is we were walking and tried to go get help. Went down and got a hold of Myron's brother Joe. Got a hold of him. He said we could take it there, work on it. So then we went back, had to dick around with that damn cop. Yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, we got in the truck and we showed up and we seen the sheriff was rifling through my car, but the tow truck wasn't there. And dude was like, nah, I've had a couple beers, I ain't gonna stop. I'll take you guys back, you guys bring the truck out here. So we went all like around the fucking block, county block and shit. Finally got back to his house and he gave us a truck. And we all piled in the truck to roll up and see the damn car on the back of a tow truck. So now the sheriff wasn't gonna let the car go because of the gas tanks. He said if it went to impound, there's no way it could be released. And I had to talk to the guy. I said, hey, I could pay the tow truck driver right now. Is there any way he can drop it off at this garage? I said, the motor's trash. The timing belt's broke on it. It's fucked up. And he's like, well, the tow truck's like, what's up to the sheriff? And the sheriff was like, well, hell, it's a lot easier than fucking taking it to impound and shit. So, you know, it was easier for the sheriff. The tow truck guy got his money and we got our car and shit. Well, we got so far out and we was having trouble with our fuel filter all the way like out towards Chicago and shit. Having to fucking keep taking the fuel filter off and hook it up backwards and blowing it out and shit. What do you recall about the broken axle in Wisconsin?
I woke up to the sound of the fucking like, what the fuck? Zany Duke said we broke an axle. And then,
yeah, he was like, yeah, I woke Robert up, tell him to start pushing.
yeah, I said, fuck that, I ain't getting out and push. I was sleeping when it happened.
Yeah, I was pulling over to get some sleep and the axle broke as I downshifted onto the on-ramp. Because this is the first stop for fuel. We made it all the way from, you know, Butler all the way out to like Onalaska, which is like almost to Minnesota and shit.
Yeah.
That's like 700 and some miles we made without stopping for gas with all them gas cans and shit. Yeah, it would push the car up and, you know, I couldn't grab the brake in time. I ran over that embankment and shit. Car's all like high centered up on this curb median thing. And we're like, oh, what the fuck do we do? So I go over to Burger King. And I'm like, yeah, don't call the cops. Don't call the tow truck. My car's broke down. Don't have it towed away. You know, so we're all dicking with the car and shit. I tear the axle out just to find out that the damn axle I brought was a rear axle with a stub on it. Like, oh man, this ain't gonna work because it wouldn't fit through the hub. I'm like, what the hell? So we was all hollering at the gas station lady, like, where can we find a junkyard? Yeah, I guess the cops showed up while we was sitting around. I guess one of us was about ready to start blazing up and shit. Here comes the local constabulary. And they're like, oh, somebody says they don't call the law, they get suspicious. And I said, well, fuck, I didn't want them to call the law because I didn't want my goddamn car towed away. And I said, we're going to try to hitchhike to the junkyard if I can get an axle. Dude, that tow truck, that fucking junkyard guy, what the fuck was up with him?
He was a cocksucker.
No, I think he was trying to take advantage of our situation to milk us out of some money and shit.
Yeah, he tells us one price, we go back, we get it, then all of a sudden he wants a different price.
Yeah. Well, the boot's still good. I want $60 for it. Dude, that boot ripped by the time we got out there.
Yeah.
Fucking junk. Yeah, we had to fucking hitchhike with like a handful of tools and shit and pull this shit off. We had more trouble trying to jack up that car than we did taking the axle out just because it's so rusty. Every time we jacked it up, the jack just goes through the floor. We had to stack rims and shit underneath it and pieces of other cars and fucking intake manifolds or whatever was laying around. And now we're all stranded at the junkyard with our parts, but 20 miles away from the car.
Yeah.
And, you know, he said he had a service call in that parking lot next to where we were.
Yeah, he had to go pick up a truck or something and have one of us drive it back for him because he didn't have another driver.
And then I was supposed to come pick you guys up from the junkyard. Well, we got back to my car, I put the axle on. I basically was buttoning down the ball joint by the time this guy had that service call ready to go, and he's like all being impatient. I was like, hold up a minute. Well, you guys all took off, and I go to start my car, and it wouldn't go. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, what the hell? Did something break? Did I fucking break a transmission or something? What the hell? Well, I pondered it, went inside, got something to drink, and came out, and I was all like ready to start tearing the bell housing apart till I realized that, fuck, the fucking false neutral, the four-wheel drive lever got bumped when we parked up on this curb and shit.
Yeah.
So I, you know, jacked the car up, pulled that fucking lever, got her down off the fucking pile there. So like, yeah, I gotta go catch these guys at the junkyard. I'm all trying to remember how to get there. Well, I pull out on the highway, I get like a mile down the road, and all of a sudden, blam, fucking Samsonites exploding off the back of the car. I'm like, oh, fuck. So I had to jump out the car and shit, and I'll chase the luggage down a mile behind me and shit, and round it all up and pack it to the car. I'm all like, oh, man, I'm gonna miss these guys. I don't know where the fuck they're gonna be and shit.
Yeah.
And fucking, and then I get going, and I'm like, yeah, there's my exit. Now, when I realized my exit, I realized I'd missed my exit. So I had to go up like a couple miles to the next exit and turn around and come back. And then by the time I got in the direction I needed to go, I see a black SUV with your hat hanging out the side of it. So I come to a screeching halt, fucking SUV comes to stop, and here you guys are. And it's like, man, if that would have turned out any different, we've been spent all day looking for each other and shit.
Yeah, that would have sucked.
But I mean, we pulled off the road. I've been driving, and I'd been awake the whole time since we left until we got that far. And you know, I'm all dead tired, ready to fall asleep when this happens. This happens like at 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And I'm still awake, you know, we're hitchhiking to junkyards and shit. And finally, 12 hours later, about 5:30 at night, we hit the road and shit. And I fucking ain't slept in like a day and a half. Yeah, well, after our axle ordeal, we fucking hit the road. And well, we stopped and got gas like as soon as we got to Minnesota. We kept driving. I guess we ran out what we had. We stopped Minnesota or South Dakota somewhere. We filled up. And then we filled up all them gas cans and filled our gas tank and shit. But we're driving and shit for about, what, about an hour and a half or something like that? And all of a sudden we're just smelling gas then, a motherfucker. I'm like, what the hell? Pull into this gas station and fucking there's a puddle of gas just growing out from under the car. You know, Duke is like, well, your car's leaking, go on inside. And I'm all like, you know, I gotta piss and shit. I'm like, fuck. So I'm all getting out, digging out tools out of the car, like trying to find my electric siphon pump and shit, and trying to open the hood, hook it up to the battery, and all crawl up into the car, trying to piss myself. And that tap was leaking where all the fuel cans were rigged up to it. So I jiggled it, and the fucker fell off and just pissing fucking gas out. I'm like, fuck, man. So all I could do is just crawl up under the car and stick my finger up against a hole. And I sat up under that car for like a good 5 or 10 minutes. Then you guys finally come out, and I'm like, hey, grab that milk jug and fucking cram it up under here. And we let the gas drain into the milk jug, and I pumped it back out into the gas cans. And you know, from there we just had to isolate that fuel tank. It was so rusty that it was bursting at the seams from its own weight. Yeah. So from you know, South Dakota on out, we had to fucking run off them gas cans. We had to keep pulling over and switching the lines and dumping one into the other and shit. And we drove like that for, you know, all the way across fucking Wyoming and Montana. And fucking finally got to fucking Washington and shit. We kept passing that same green Subaru. It passed us like in Montana. And then we passed it in Idaho. He was pulling off the side. Then he passed again in Spokane, Washington. We're all like starting to run out of gas, trying to find a gas station shit. Got their Camel cigarettes are like fucking $5 or $6.35. Then we get so far, we've stopped at this this rest stop because we kept smelling gas again. Come to find out, one of the lines was leaking or something, so we had to fix that. And I'm all in this fucking bathroom trying to wash this gas off. You know, by the time we got there, we got a hold of where we was going to and shit, and spent the rest of the night driving in circles around Seattle because the goddamn roads didn't make sense and shit. You see the sign for your exit, and you get on it, and there's no more signs that tell you where you're going. And Seattle's all like, you know, it's just a bunch of little islands and shit, and a bay, rivers running through it, and you can't tell what's what and where and shit.